Welcome, everyone, to the championship match of Season 2 of the Knockout. This was a very, very fun season, and I'm really glad we had the idea of the heroes versus villains. This was very fun. We had 8 heroes on one side, 8 villains on the other side, and we have the winner of it facing off for the heroes versus villains matchup. I have to say, there was actually quite a bit of surprises this season for me, honestly. If I had to pick 2 characters to make it to the finale, I honestly would not have bet money on Bloodshot or Sabertooth. Nothing against our contestants in the chat here. I would just have 2 other characters that I have different in mind. You know, like Batman Beyond, my personal favorite guy. I put more stock into him. Maybe it's just me being favorite, but that's why I don't vote unless it's a tie. Don't need me being biased. So, cat's bugging again. So, it's the animals don't bug you. It's just when the kids, it's the animals. You have any fun. All right, so you want to hear me talking, you want to hear the contestants. So let's introduce them with the ladies first. Please welcome Sabertooth from the Villians team. Welcome, ladies. How's it going? You guys are frozen, I think. You there? All right. Well, hopefully they get their internet fixed in just a second. And Bloodshot with the heroes team. Welcome. How's it going?
So far, so good. I can't complain.
Yeah, well, so I'm guessing the ladies can because it looks like they're frozen. So, unfortunately. So, we'll have to just chat for a little bit. Yep, there they go. They'll be back in a second. So, there we go. Let's get them back in here.
We crashed for 2 seconds. Sorry about that.
As soon as you started talking,
it crashed.
Wait.
Well, apparently the bad guys gave up already.
Yeah. Is that us? Do we have the problem? Oh boy. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, well, what's the championship matchup without some technical difficulties and animals wanting out of a room and apparently the championship map isn't even gonna happen. So thank you guys very much for showing up. Are you guys first? Oh, there you go. Still go. But like I said, I would not have picked, honestly, you 2 for the championship matchup. Nothing against your characters or you guys, but if I had to pick a matchup, I would have picked like Batman Beyond or Loki, kind of a thing. I would have picked those 2 or something to going off, just as a personal wager. So obviously that goes to show that I sucked at making the arguments and you guys rocked at it. So congratulations on making it to the championship matchup. So are you guys excited for the match?
Thank you. Honestly, Loki should have won. Loki, hands down, should have won. We fought dirty and mean.
Yes. Yeah, so apparently Unruly agrees. So so
sorry, we love you, Unruly.
Yep, no crashing in the knockout.
I'm definitely surprised to see Sabertooth come out on top over Loki.
Well, yeah, because especially considering he had to face off against Reverse Flash, Bane, I think, at one point. No, but anyway, yeah, just like Reverse Flash is going, how the heck does this guy come out ahead? But that's why the chat's the chat. In a way, the way I set it up, if you can get enough votes in, you can win. Even if it's a snail versus Superman kind of a thing. If you have enough people coming in early to vote for you. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get the party started. You have an echo? Anyway, let's get the party started here with heroes going first with the opening argument. So take it away, Comic Collector, whenever you're ready.
Sure. So I think to kind of get things set off is we've seen a lot of incarnations of Bloodshot throughout the years, even though he is a more recent character, that being the 90s. It seems like just about every run. I mean, Valiant itself has been relaunched so many times. Each company, each writer has had a different take on Bloodshot because the character that he is just so versatile, especially with his ability being, he's completely made up of nanites that can be modified to basically give him any power that the writer can think of that would make for a good story. And that's why we see such a different Bloodshot with every single storyline. So for that purpose, I'm going to be going with the most recent iteration that we've seen with Bloodshot, and the powers that were displayed within reason. Obviously, there are some powers that he had with the help of others, but those won't be included because Bloodshot himself, even if they were capable, if he himself was capable of doing it by himself at the moment, he's not. But I think when it comes to picking the best version of the character that we've seen, I think what needs to be taken into consideration is, in this case, the opponent. You know, what is going on at the moment. And of course, we're talking about a fight between two different characters from two completely different universes, that being the Valiant universe and the Marvel universe, where different technologies exist. Valiant, for all intents and purposes, is far more technologically advanced, where such advanced nanites and technology is readily available all across the planet. Whereas in Marvel, it might be only available by the top elites or people such as Franklin Richards and Tony Stark. So you have to bring up, why are they fighting? And if you look at Bloodshot's history, he may be a hero. He's not a traditional hero in the same sense that Punisher is not a traditional hero. He is an anti-hero that quite often has been used for some very nefarious means. In that, in the Valiant universe, there's basically, think of it like the Illuminati. They do exist, basically, in the Valiant universe. And each top corporation, such as Project Rising Spirit, has taken Bloodshot and has used him to get their way. And if they want somebody dead, if they want a group dead or taken out, they would take Bloodshot and use him to fit their own means, or other super soldiers that have been created to mimic Bloodshot using his technology, much like if Captain America were readily able to be cloned and recreated. So in a fight like this, I feel like what is the most likely circumstances, given he's going up against a villain, that being Sabertooth, and Sabertooth not being one to truly go out of his way to kill people that he doesn't have a personal vendetta against. I think what's most likely is whether it be one of those major corporations that's part of that in-universe Illuminati, or even some big corporation in the Marvel universe, or some hero corporation that he has joined, as we recently saw in the most recent run of Bloodshot within the Burn, to try to take out Sabertooth. And with that being said, I think that allows for a lot more leeway when it comes to Sabertooth's abilities. Because yes, he's basically Wolverine, except better in every single way possible, even down to the fact that he does have adamantium in his bones, if that's, of course, the version that's being discussed at this point. So when you're talking about such a high-level organization possibly being behind Bloodshot's going after someone like Sabertooth, which, again, I feel is the most likely scenario as to why these two are fighting, it's highly likely that Bloodshot would have a degree of knowledge about Sabertooth, enough to be prepared when it comes to Sabertooth's abilities, his healing factor, and his adamantium. And given that technology is a lot more readily available in the Valiant universe, or even in the Marvel universe, given on who is having him go after Sabertooth, I feel like it's very likely that he would have bullets or swords or knives that would be able to negate Sabertooth's healing factor. As we've seen, that's how Wolverine was able to dispatch and kill Sabertooth, is with the sword that's able to nullify his healing factor and slow it down to the point where he can be killed. That, and possibly adamantium bullets, so that they can go through Sabertooth's adamantium skeleton, or swords that would be able to cut through it. Because sure, Sabertooth does have adamantium, but if you cut an arm off, it's not going to grow back with adamantium. Sure, his healing factor is almost immediate, but when he heals it back and grows back, it's just going to be bone. And if there's one thing that can be said about Sabertooth that he also shares very in common with Logan, if not more so, is how he is very willing to just try to walk right through bullets and just try to take shots. So if Bloodshot is supplied with that type of ammunition to take down Sabertooth, realistically, Sabertooth would be dead before he even realized it. Because as we saw in the fight versus Wolverine, when Sabertooth was killed, Sabertooth didn't even realize what was going on by the time his arm was cut off and then his head was cut off. So I think with that possible, of course, it's like the argument with Batman of how much prep time, but with this most likely scenario as to how these two are fighting, I feel like it's definitely a very good chance that Bloodshot would have to kill Sabertooth really without a fight.
Awesome. Well, ladies, you got quite a lot to answer in your opening statement. Good luck.
Well, thank you. We're going to need it. That's awesome. Good job. We were not familiar with Bloodshot when, we won, and we did a lot of research on him, and it sounds like you're very knowledgeable on the latest version, and that's the version that you're kind of picking. There's been so many reboots, like you mentioned. In 1992, he was Angelo Mortali, and then they rebooted him in 97 as Raymond Garrison, and then 2012 as Michael Lazarus. He just keeps getting rebooted, which, Victor Creed has always been Victor Creed.
Yes.
He doesn't need to be rebooted because he's badass. So I get that in your latest version, every version he has the nanites and he can heal right away, but he also has a lot of downfalls and a lot of faults. He is immortal. Basically from what we read,
there is no
dude
way
can't
to
be
kill
killed.
him.
No, which our guy, he can be killed. It's hard to kill him. But
there are small windows of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as him being dead before Bloodshot even got there, I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't know about that one, no.
But there are ways that we could definitely put up a fight, and kind of counteract a lot of the powers that Bloodshot has.
Well, we do have one method to kill him.
Just
one.
Well, we have a few tricks up our sleeves. So let's get the games going, shall we?
Awesome. Well, good luck. All right. So, who wants to start off the first matchup? Does the hero swoop in there to stop it, or do the villains take a sudden strike? Where do we start the argument?
First, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Comic Collector, how is Bloodshot gonna overcome any and everything that a villain's gonna throw in? How is the hero gonna overcome this?
Sure. So, as was mentioned, Bloodshot's been rebooted so many times. It's hard to get a handle on which one we're talking about. That's why I try to narrow it down to the most recent. Not just because it's probably the most powerful we've ever seen Bloodshot, but because I feel like I feel like when you have a character that's been rebooted so many times, the best way to go is with the most modern version, which is why I brought up Sabertooth with adamantium, because he wasn't created with adamantium on his skeleton. He was created with a regular bone skeleton. And it wasn't until mid-90s, which is about 15, 20 years after he was invented, that Wolverine had the adamantium pulled out of his skeleton by Magneto, who put it on Sabertooth. After which it was eventually taken back from Victor Creed and put back into Wolverine. And under that point, Victor went under his own Weapon X program and had the adamantium injected back into his himself to basically get that back. So that's why I bring up the adamantium skeleton, because I can easily bring up a version of Victor Creed that doesn't have the adamantium. But I feel like if we don't talk about a Victor Creed without adamantium, or with adamantium, I feel like it's too easy of a fight, because much like Wolverine, he's a very instinctual animal, very quick to rage, very quick to making sudden, possibly stupid decisions, depending on how much he's hurt. And when you're fighting against someone like Bloodshot, especially unprepared, you won't expect someone who is just as fast as you, if not faster, just as strong as you, if not stronger, and able to basically nullify your other mutant abilities that you may rely on, like your ability to track via pheromones, as Bloodshot's nanites can emit something that would basically render him invisible to someone like Sabertooth, someone who can actually physically turn invisible, so that Sabertooth won't be able to see him. So we won't be able to see him, won't be able to track him. I feel like at that point it's unfair to mention any version of Sabertooth that does not have adamantium, because at that point, while Sabertooth does have a healing factor, I feel like there's only so many times Bloodshot would have to cut him into pieces before it would have to be stopped by the ref, so to speak. So when it comes to that, I feel like it's important to bring in that adamantium to the story. And as I mentioned in my setup about who would possibly be behind this meeting, able to supply Bloodshot with this. But even if that isn't the case, I think Bloodshot has enough means to be able to escape Sabertooth, possibly rally and be able to figure out a way to stop Sabertooth within universe. It's not, because of course, as much as Bloodshot relies on others, he's not stupid. He would be able to escape Sabertooth, possibly chop off a limb or two, because even though he has adamantium bones, he's still skilled enough as a soldier to be able to cut off Sabertooth's limbs at the joint, which is something that wouldn't be protected. And while it wouldn't kill him, it would stop him long enough to be able to have Bloodshot get away, regroup for a little bit, and try to think of a new strategy or figure out how to stop him and how to get his whole hands on that technology.
Well, I mean, you're talking as though they're already in hand-to-hand combat. Victor definitely has super senses. While though Bloodshot can be invisible, Victor can still smell him coming or hear him coming, even if he can't see him. I know that Bloodshot can zip into the pocket dimension, and that is a huge advantage for him. But, Victor also has such hyper-aware senses that it's almost borderline supernatural. So even, whether if it was the adamantium version or not, he still has those hyper-aware senses. He still has his berserker powers and his healing ability, even without the adamantium. The thing about Bloodsport is that he's so easily manipulated. He's had these memories uploaded and reloaded and downloaded into his mind, and he's basically like a walking puppet. Anything that they upload into his brain is what he's going to go do. So, if Victor Creed is a super genius, and if he even has an idea that this confrontation is going to happen, he could very easily manipulate memories into his opponent, and then Bloodshot would be like, oh, we're friends. He's basically like, I don't know, Pinocchio. He's just like a puppet, and he does whatever they tell him to do. Now, that's not a slight against his fighting abilities. He's probably just as fast, and like you said, maybe even faster. He's super strong. He has a lot of the same physical attributes that Victor Creed has, but he's so screwed up in the head that he can be easily manipulated, and then he has hallucinations
all the time.
There's this guy named Kay, what's his last name? Kay McHenry, and I don't know if he's in the version that you're talking about, but in 2015, this Kay McHenry guy removes all the nanites from him, and he's like a normal dude, and he tries to live a normal life. But in previous versions, this Kay McHenry is like his conscience and trying to keep him from murdering people and that kind of thing. And then he has this other hallucination called Blood Squirt, which is like this little kid who's always trying to get him to murder people. So the guy is just really, really screwed up in the head. Victor Creed, he's just mean and evil, and he'll just kill you. It's not like he's fighting with hallucinations or downloaded memories or anything like that. He's not like an automaton that you just wind up and say, okay, go kill. He kills because he's just evil. I think that Bloodshot, he doesn't really have a say in the matter, and that's really awful for him. That he's just kind of like a wind up toy, and he has to kill because that's what's been uploaded into his psyche.
That's good points. It always seems to. Go ahead. Sorry. No, you're the one who's actually arguing.
That's fine. None of that's in the version of Bloodshot that just came up most recently. He's not having hallucinations, and if anything, when he isn't under the control of Project Rising Spirit or whatever corporation it is at that time, he doesn't really suffer side effects. He's very level-headed, very clean-headed. Of course, it does affect him psychologically in that he's been used again, and he knows he's been murdering innocent people, which is something that, if anything, fuels his flame. And again, with Sabertooth's hypersenses, that's why I mentioned the fact that Bloodshot's nanites can emit a pheromone that would make him invisible to Sabertooth's other senses. So he wouldn't be able to smell him. He, for all intents and purposes, wouldn't be able to hear him, as Bloodshot's nanites can also emit a supersonic frequency that would render Sabertooth's hearing completely null and void. So that's why I bring up the fact that if we're not talking about Sabertooth with an adamantium skeleton, he has absolutely no advantage over Bloodshot. He wouldn't be able to hear him. He wouldn't be able to smell him. He wouldn't be able to see him if Bloodshot didn't want him to. And when it comes to fighting ability, Bloodshot is just as strong, quick, and agile as Sabertooth, if not even more so, depending on the day. And I feel like when it comes to that fragile mind, again, that's not brought up in the most recent version of Bloodshot, which is the one that I'm going off of. Again, because most recent, it's
Well, I think any version is
basically
really
true.
fair game, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't specified. We're only going off of this one Bloodshot. I mean, we're taking on all of Bloodshot all the way across the line.
I totally get that,
You know,
but I
so
also
I mean, we could
don't
just
think
draw
it can be cherry picked.
boom, his nanites out.
Well, at that point, I think we can.
Well, you are cherry picking though. You want to pick the latest version. We're picking all the version.
You're picking a different version of him that has different weaknesses than the one that I'm arguing for. And at that point, I can pick the version of Victor Creed that doesn't have adamantium. And say Bloodshot can still do all the things that he can do currently. But if we're talking about him having hallucinations and struggling with his mental state of wanting to kill people, I don't think that would really help Victor Creed. And I also think calling him a super genius capable of figuring out Bloodshot specific nanites and how to alter his memories, which is something that even the smartest people in the Valiant universe cannot do at free will. I think that's definitely a long shot to call Victor being capable of doing something like that. Because I mean, again, for all intents and purposes, Victor
I'm
Creed
sorry,
has
you
been
keep cutting out,
just
and we're having
an
a really
animal.
hard time.
Yeah,
hearing what
everybody
you're
keeps
saying.
freezing. So
I don't know. Are we choppy for you? Can you hear us? Okay.
You both have a little bit of here and there. His seems to be more digital, electronic. Yours is more of the pausing once in a while. So we're just bad internet connections tonight. But yeah,
yeah.
So I mean, you want to try that again?
Shoot. Well, go ahead and say what you were going to say, and yeah, hopefully you can hear us. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's on our end. I apologize.
So one thing though, because it's not actually a long shot, because one thing that we learned upon researching for our last round for Loki, Victor Creed is actually marked as a genius. He doesn't deal with computers very often. Preferable choice.
I don't know if we're back on or not.
I don't think we are.
You're here. I hear you.
It's just coming in and out.
I think we're just frozen. Oh,
I think we're just completely frozen.
Oh, darn.
You're here.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry.
Like we're watching, we have the YouTube thing pulled up,
and we just frozen. We're like, oh no!
Bloodshot, play nice. The villains are the ones supposed to cheat.
God, you can't take over technology.
Yeah.
So, hey, good job, Taylor.
But I was saying that he is actually registered as a genius. He doesn't deal with many computers very often just because that's preferable choice. And unfortunately, like the X-Men movies don't exactly cast him justice for that, because in the comics, he does know a lot more than what is displayed for, TV and visual cueing. And he is also a marksman. He is also a sharpshooter. So, I mean, if they were both going long distance with guns, I mean, that's pretty much an even matchup right there.
Well, and they would both heal. But one thing about Bloodshot is he has to have raw meat.
He has to have substance.
So, I mean, if you wear him down and you're in a hand-to-hand fight and you're ripping and clawing and there's no meat for him to have, he's not going to continue to regenerate. And Victor Creed's mutant ability is he will regenerate whether he has adamantium or not. That's one of his mutant powers.
In the immortal words of Metarog, Sabertooth would survive the long, bloody brawl.
Metarog 2021.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure. And for the comment I saw, and of course for everyone else watching, the reason I'm going by the most recent version of Bloodshot is, and not taking too heavily into account the other versions, is for one, it's definitely very easy to pick which versions of Bloodshot have certain downfalls and weaknesses than other versions do. But for a character like Bloodshot, who has been rebooted so many different times, having so many different aspects to his character, I just kind of default to the most recent one, because that's what I feel would be the most fair fight, not just because he's the most recent, he's the best version of Bloodshot, and a lot of those downfalls aren't present in the current version of the character. So when it comes to arguing against several different versions of the character, at that point it just gets confusing, because we're talking different ups, different downs of Bloodshot. And if there's never been a version of Bloodshot that has these pros that I'm talking about, and there's never been a version of that character that has those downs that I'm talking about in one, I feel like it's not fair, because if we're going into a fight with one Bloodshot, we're not going to see a Bloodshot with those downs and those pros and those cons. It's going to be one or the other. So I feel it's fair to pick one version of Bloodshot that has a certain set of pros and a certain set of cons. And that's not necessarily true. Like I said, we've seen different versions of Sabertooth over the years that have been displayed as nothing more than a feral animal. There's been versions of Sabertooth that don't have adamantium, that just has bone claws. And I feel like that's definitely a game changer when you're talking about someone that has a skeleton coated in a substance that can only be cut with one type of metal. And I think that's a big up that Sabertooth would have. And I think that's important to narrow down which version of Sabertooth or which version of Bloodshot we're talking about, because that determines what is going to be happening in the fight, what needs to be targeted in the fight.
Well, I mean, I certainly see your point, and we had no way of knowing exactly which one you would choose. I mean, like, there are so many.
There's like 5. Yeah.
I mean, he has different names, he has different reboots, different years. I mean,
it's one for every single Valiant reboot.
Yes, I do have a question for you ladies. Comic Collector did mention earlier that, correct me if I'm wrong, you said like the nanites can take away Sabertooth's smell and
hearing, yes.
And hearing?
His nanites can emit a sound that would take that away, and pheromones that would mask his scent.
There we go. Because, I mean, a lot of my arguments, a lot of the thing I see for arguing when I'm arguing for Sabertooth or thinking about arguing for Sabertooth and all that is I do see his animalistic senses as a big factor in his strength. If you take sense of smell and hearing away from him, it's like turning a tiger into a house cat. Now, a house cat can still claw the hell out of me, but I would much rather face a house cat than a tiger. How is Sabertooth going to overcome that disadvantage if Bloodshot does that?
That's very valid, and I didn't know that he could take away the hearing. I knew he had a sonic scream, but I don't know which version of that is. Now we're kind of getting into semantics about that. So I did know that he had a sonic scream. I guess there's more to it than just seeing, and smelling. The hearing thing. I mean, there's, like I said earlier, he has almost a supernatural sense with him, so you've got, touch and vibrations and, the air movement around, somebody was coming at him and he could feel the air move. He's obviously going to duck, whether he can hear him or see him or not, you still have that sense like something's coming at you. Did you feel that? Did you feel that?
I was like actually like waiting for you to like touch my chin there. Like,
definitely for sure. But I feel like Victor Creed has other attributes other than just his sense of smell and his sense of hearing.
Should we go for the nanite?
True, yes. I mean, he does have a sense of fighting, or his fighting style. Cool.
Well, and it was kind of difficult trying to figure out, how Bloodshot would be defeated, because I mean, just like with all the researching we did, it's like we couldn't find like any definitive, people who had defeated him, or like marked events to where one definitely lost over the other.
Whereas there's a sword that can just chop our guy's head off, and that's it. He's done, so we fully acknowledge that.
But a few things that we did find were a lot of the faults with the nanites themselves, because obviously the nanites are his biggest strength, because of the regen and the heightened abilities. But I mean, they are still technology, and there are a few different ways that the technology part of him can be affected, like an EMP blast. I mean, if you were to take out the nanites, he would be a normal dude. And like you had mentioned earlier, one guy had stripped him of the nanites. There was also Project Omen that deactivated the nanites and captured him in volume, I want to say that was volume 4, number 11. That's right. I'm listing comics now. So there are ways to deactivate the nanites
and make him just a dude.
Yeah, and
Victor is still an animal.
Yeah, as soon as the nanites go out, which could be as fast as a half a second, that's it. Victor's going to be on top of him and claw him to shreds. I mean,
unless he's got some raw hamburger around, he's not going to regen very fast.
Well, the nanites would be able to help him at that point.
Cool. Very good points. Very good points.
Yeah, sure. I definitely I know that, but well, two things. One, is it really within Sabertooth's ability to get hold of that technology, and is it within his ability to get it quick enough? And when it comes to using that outside technology, I only feel it's fair that if we're talking about Sabertooth having that at his disposal, I don't feel like it's unfair to also talk about Bloodshot having the ability to use any sort of technology that would be able to, say, render Sabertooth's healing completely null and void, or be able to rip right through his adamantium skeleton, which again is exactly how Wolverine was able to dispatch of him. And there's plenty of technology that's, readily enough available that would be able to get into Bloodshot's hands, especially again if there's some major corporation or some giant entity that's backing Bloodshot when it comes to trying to take down Victor. Because one thing that can be definitely said, as y'all said, Bloodshot is definitely one to be used quite frequently, and Sabertooth is one that does not make friends quite well. So I feel like it's well within Bloodshot's ability to get his hands on that technology, which does exist readily and has been used to dispatch Bloodshot or Sabertooth before. We've seen that. And the only thing that was stopping Wolverine from killing him earlier was the fact that he cared for Sabertooth at the very end of the day. But it just got to be too much for him. So we've seen Sabertooth dispatched of, again, relatively easily, because Sabertooth puts quite a bit of faith into his abilities and is very willing to tank shots. So if we're talking about technology versus technology, Bloodshot doesn't need his nanites to try to shoot Sabertooth in the face with a machine gun that's loaded with adamantium bullets, or those bullets that would be able to completely slow down his healing factor, again, to basically make Sabertooth a normal man that can just move quickly and has superhuman abilities other than that. So again, at that point, you're going against, at that point, it's basically Sabertooth, no adamantium, no healing factor. Think Captain America, if you will, against Punisher, loaded up with as much ammo as need be to tank that out, except Captain America doesn't have his shield. So I think at that point it's not a very fair fight, and Bloodshot doesn't need his nanites to be able to use a gun. So,
well, so you're saying that Bloodshot would still be like Captain America even without the nanites?
No, Punisher. I'm saying Sabertooth would be like
he would
Captain
be more
America
like the
without,
Punisher.
Yeah, and
Captain
Sabertooth
America
would be equivalent to Captain America, because Captain America has a bit of a healing factor, but it's not great enough to be able to heal anything that would be necessary. And he definitely doesn't have an adamantium skeleton. And he can be killed with a bullet to the brain, much like Sabertooth would be at that point.
Interesting characteristics or comparisons for sure. I think they froze again.
Yeah. Everyone's Wi-Fi signal's going out tonight.
Yeah. Well, I guess my shows are so popular tonight that it's crashing.
Yeah, that's right. You just can't get people off. It just
We can hardly hear any of that. I don't know if we're moving fine for you guys, but you both are frozen. And
I'm sure they were all good points, though.
Yeah,
I'm sure they were all good points. I can't
hear anything.
I missed them all.
Yeah, you guys are frozen again, so you guys are back, so. All right, you guys still here?
Okay, that we heard.
Man, I don't know. Maybe it was the clear skies or something. Oh my god!
Yeah, no, you both are frozen. We could just barely hear your guys' audio.
You missed the part where Bloodshot was surrendering to your superior argument.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that definitely happened. Thanks, Mr. Scott. I appreciate it, man. Definitely helping out there.
Well,
I think. Oh gosh!
I think we were just the butt of a joke.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Just for fun, you could freeze Barry Allen, but are we talking about character versus character straight up? So I guess using outside resources is considered outlawed. Technically, yes, most of the time, but this is the final matchup, heroes versus villains. We're holding the hero to the higher standards. The villains can do whatever the hell they want, as they always do. So, it's up to the hero. But if we don't have a villain to argue their side because they keep freezing up, we might not be able to do that. So, but well, don't know what we're gonna do. They seem to be frozen again. So pop in and out. I'll tell them to pop in and out. Oh yeah, go ahead and go. We'll take 5 minutes or whatever, and go ahead and come back. We'll take 5. So anyway, definitely some good points you got there. Comic. So
yeah, it's definitely it's a good fight. I was a lot more scared to go up against Loki.
Yeah.
Which I mean, somehow Sabertooth came out of that. I feel like when it came to Loki and Bloodshot, there was no chance that Bloodshot had. But against Sabertooth, I mean, there's enough readily available ways to be able to take out Sabertooth,
The villains are cheating. They're double teaming.
Yeah. 2 against 1.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Like he's taking over our computer. He's like, you can't argue anymore.
No, looks like it's not over. Well, we might just have to go ahead and wrap this up sooner than expected if everyone's having bad Wi-Fi. You guys are still there. There you go. There you go. Do you guys want to go ahead and just move to closing arguments?
That'd be fine.
No problem. Here, why don't you two make your first closing argument, since you guys seem to have the harder internet. And while we're at that, everyone please go vote while these two are making their closing arguments. So
that's right. Vote for Bloodshot.
Maybe we should just make our final argument.
Yeah. Are you there?
Okay.
Well, if we go down, if you guys lose us, we'll just type it
in the
out.
chat.
We'll just type it in the chat. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
Right,
okay.
So
well,
we have one final point.
Drop it.
All right, cool. So the speaking of computer issues, this is why Bloodshot's trying to crash our computer tonight. One of the biggest things that Bloodshot can do is he can connect to technology around him. So just first and foremost, if we were to remove him from the city entirely, there would be a lack of ability usage there, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is if he wants to connect to the computers to, let's just say, learn all that he can about Sabertooth, or
cyberkinesis.
Or technokinesis, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All Sabertooth has to do is plug in a virus to the computers, and as soon as Bloodshot connects to the network, it can download a virus into his system and into his nanites, which would then again crash his nanite system, make him a normal man, and Sabertooth would come in and slaughter him where he stood.
Or Sabertooth, I mean, I know it was mentioned earlier that he was a loner, but he still, has Magneto and Mystique. And since we know that she's a shapeshifter, she could become Kay McHenry and dupe him.
Guilt trip Bloodshot.
Into not attacking Sabertooth. So that's another thing that we forgot to bring up. Yes. With the easy manipulation.
Yes.
No matter what version he is, the long and the short of it is that Bloodshot is amazing. I mean, he's impossible to kill.
Yeah.
He's got the nano technology.
He had Vin Diesel as his actor.
Go into pocket dimensions. I mean, the dude he's really an amazing opponent, and we've had a lot of fun debating with you about it because clearly you know your stuff. But Victor Creed, whether it's the old version or the new version, whether he has adamantium or not, he's still a really powerful mutant. He has a powerful healing ability. I wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with the guy because he would rip you to shreds. I mean, at the end of the day, it would be a really cool match to see.
Very good, very good. Sorry, your guys' internet hasn't been better tonight, but I guess apparently we all have problems once in a while. All right, Comic Collector, your final argument for the heroes side. Why do they win?
Sure. So again, when it comes to Bloodshot, definitely a hero at heart, but a lot of what he does, we might not label him as such, giving him, of course, the anti-hero title just as much as Punisher would. So he is definitely more inclined to do heroic things. If, of course, he's in control of himself. If Project Rising Spirit has gotten a hold of him again, he'd be a lot less likely to talk things out before shooting you in the face. But if we do talk about, because again, I feel like just like with a lot of these fights, a lot of it comes down to why they're fighting and how they came across each other. And the only thing that I could possibly think of that would make sense for someone like Bloodshot to fight someone like Sabertooth is that someone wants Sabertooth dead, and they know Bloodshot could do it. And he would more than likely be going in with ammunition to be able to render Sabertooth's healing factor null and void and be able to rip through his adamantium skeleton, and would be able to dispatch of him fairly quickly. And when it comes down to it, sure, there are some technological things that Sabertooth would be able to do to get at Bloodshot, but that would require a lot of forward thinking and a lot of info on Bloodshot beforehand. And I think if someone's going into this fight with information on the other individual, knowing that Bloodshot can be able to connect technology, like as was mentioned, to be able to learn about Sabertooth, if he isn't provided with that information beforehand, I feel like the one that's more likely to be able to have that foresight or that foreknowledge about the other person, it's going to be Bloodshot. He's going to be able to get his hands on that info a lot quicker and be able to figure out Sabertooth a lot quicker than Sabertooth will be able to with Bloodshot. Not only the fact that Bloodshot would be quicker to be able to get his hands on that info, but he would be the first to turn to it, given that Sabertooth is, again, very reliant on the fact that he can kill people very effectively and efficiently. And again, when it comes down to it, even if Bloodshot's nanites are taken out of the equation, he's still essentially the Punisher. And if he has enough of the right bullets, again, I still think things can be swung into Bloodshot's way, even though, of course, Sabertooth can never be truly taken out, as he is not just incredibly strong, fast, agile, but he's very unpredictable and beats to his own drums. So I feel like there's a lot that can be taken into consideration with this fight. But in my personal opinion, biased as it may be, I think Bloodshot definitely has a better chance in this fight.
Awesome. Well, I just dropped the link again in the chat. Everyone, please go vote and all that. So obviously, I thought it was the villains that would be a little more sneaky and all that. Who knew that Bloodshot would take over Sabertooth's internet to try and crash him during the show? He was so worried about So sneaky as always, Bloodshot, apparently. So
hey, like I said, he'd be the first to be able to do it. Sabertooth would have no idea what hit him.
Awesome. Well, while we wait
into that pocket dimension, he's like, "You're done. You're done, Creed. You're done. Get out of here."
While we wait for everyone to finish voting, if they haven't voted, I want to just take this time real quick to. I have two contests going on. One of 1,000 subscribers, which when I eventually get up to it, the prize is this Fantastic Four 49 in a 1.0. So that's once I get up to 1,000 subscribers, but that is 450 people away. So. Aww. Sub, if you want it. But more importantly, the 600 subscriber coming up next is this Batman Slab in DC Rebirth #1, 9.6. It's a Dynamic Forces edition reprint of 3,000 copies. So anyone interested in Batman can get that. So that's once I get up to 600 subs. Both videos will be somewhere in my login thing on both contests, so that's what you can look up there too. So votes haven't changed the last 20 minutes. So all right, so let's get to it then, shall we? Who is gonna win?
I can't look either.
Let's see. There it is. All right, the season 2 winner of the knockout is.
You're peeking.
I am peeking.
Sabertooth, 19 votes. Bloodshot, 11. The villains win.
Ooh,
so
evil would triumph.
Very interesting. The winners of season 2 are is Team Villains. So the heroes just couldn't come up with the win. That is a little bit of a shock.
It's all smoke and mirrors. All smoke and mirrors. He had a far better argument than we did. Done. Well done, good sir.
Very well.
It was very fun. Absolutely. Especially, bringing out a bunch of different versions of Bloodshot, because Bloodshot, Sabertooth, he's a wonderful character in and of himself that we haven't really seen done justice in any mainstream way. And Bloodshot just now getting his way in mainstream with the movie with Vin Diesel. Even still, not the greatest depiction of Bloodshot, but I'm happy just to see him on the big screen. But I just wish he
Did
was
you
a
see
character
the
that got
movie?
more
We
love.
haven't seen it yet.
Pretty good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like super comic Bloodshot. It was kind of Vin Diesel with Bloodshot's powers, but it was entertaining enough.
Yeah, this was definitely a lot of fun. This season was fun. I love the whole heroes versus villains aspect and all that. Just having them do their own little thing, and then the best of the best come out in the end. So it was
Yeah, it'd be fun to
definitely,
do it again.
yep. And see, I mean, you say both of you are more than or say you're more than welcome to come back to season 3, obviously.
Oh golly.
But as the winners of season 2 here, you guys automatically get an invite to season 3, in my opinion. So you guys are I'm definitely reaching out. So that's like a mini prize for being the champion. Burke Family 54 won season 1 with Darkseid. Kind of when he did it, so he got to come back in season 2 for sure. I reached out to him, so definitely look forward to it. Like I said, season 3 is going to be all about the powerhouse players. Green Lantern, Superman, people that pack a punch and could basically take the world over by themselves. That is the idea. So one of these times here, I'll do a hangout chat video where we just brainstorm ideas of people and all that and get together a list, and then I'll reach out to people for guests and all that. So as the winners of season 2 here, if you guys have a contestant you guys want to do or get first pick in the list, whatever it is, like if you want to argue Superman, just for the sake of arguments, you want to do Superman, I can automatically throw him into season 3 and you guys get him. So whatever you want to do is fine with me. So I look forward to season 3 for sure. So still there, or are you guys okay? I was wondering if you guys are frozen again. So must be a little bit of delay.
What we'll have to do is go back and watch the replay because literally all I heard was
Bloodshot, let us go, man. It's over.
Damn it, Charlie Brown.
I'm so sorry.
All right, yeah. So
Oh gosh, everything's just frozen. Oh no.
Well, that sucks. All right. Well, thank you very much, Comic Collector, for joining us.
Of course.
So, like I said, you're more than welcome to come back for season 3 too, if you want. And yeah, let's see. Arena and Larry can give you a real fight. So yeah, this is definitely a lot of fun. So Villains won, even though they had the bad internet this time. They fought a lot of odds this time around.
Oh, terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Well, maybe next time we'll have to reschedule or something if we have bad internet because we want a better connection for the championship match.
Oh gosh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. Okay. But you know what? You guys are so awesome, and this is so much fun. We've had so much fun. Every opponent that we've had a blast. So thank you so much for having us. It's been an honor to be on so many times. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And while your internet's still working right now, do you want to do a shout out to your channel or anything? A book signing coming up?
Well, the book tour is about to launch. I just had a bookstore here in a book signing here in Colorado just a few days ago.
She just launched brand new art.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. It's brand new and everybody's slowly crashing, so I hope you guys can still hear me. Yeah, so we just launched new limited time travel Isle of the Dark merch, so that's super fun. And huge shout out to Garbage Ham Sandwich for designing that. She is just so talented and so amazing. And in 20 days, we will be hitting the road to Kansas. Less than 20 days, actually. So
yeah, and Bernie Blockabout 99, who's in the chat tonight, he is doing reaction videos to all of your videos. So if you guys want to be a part of that, shoot me a DM or him a DM and let us know, and we will give your channel a shout out. And he reacts to your videos. He's only done 2 so far. He's going to be working on the Gray Man coming up this coming week. So if you guys want to be a part of that, so far he's done Super Rest and he's done Fatal J. So let us know and we will include you in that because it's just a fun summer project that he's working on.
Awesome. Well, I'll save everyone the trouble of him reacting to my channel. This is him. That's him reacting to my channel. So, so, all right. Comic collector. Anything coming up for you?
Not particularly. Just same old, same old. Head over to my channel. I have some collection stuff up. A little out of date as I've still been getting stuff. A few older videos from weekly polls and my thoughts and opinions on them. But if you want to see anything in particular on my channel, see anything up on my wall, see I have a considerable Stephen King collection or anything like that, just feel free to head over to my channel and comment on whatever videos you like and you want to see more of.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, both of these channels' descriptions should be in the in the description below. Looks like my wife's calling me, so I better end the show so I don't lose her. Take care, everyone. Happy collecting, and I'll see you guys next time for season 3. Talk to you later.
Thanks for having us.